I don't know what's worse, being used by your family or realizing you were never anything more than a safety net to them. My name's Celine, 34, living in Denver. I'm a charge nurse at a public hospital, meaning I clean up other people's messes for a living. I thought home was where I didn't have to do that. But home was just a different kind of mess. One where I paid the bills, but no one noticed until I stopped. I've been holding this family together since I was 19. Dad walked out. Mom fell apart. And Kale, my younger sister, learned real quick that if she cried loud enough, someone else would fix it. Mostly me. I picked up double shifts to cover her tuition when she dropped out the first time. And the second. And when she wanted to start an Etsy business, I gave her my vacation fund. I lived off instant noodles for 3 months so she could find herself. It's embarrassing how much I thought I was doing the right thing. Like somehow, if I gave enough, they'd love me for it. But that's not how this works. Last Sunday, after my third 12-hour shift that week, I dragged myself home, dreaming of nothing but sleep. I barely kicked off my shoes before my phone buzzed. Kale, can you spot me $900 for rent? I'll pay you back next week. Promise that was a lie. She never paid back anything, but I sighed and Venmo'd her anyway. I told myself it was just this once. Then later that night, scrolling through Instagram to numb my brain, I saw it. Kyle in a rooftop bar downtown, holding a champagne glass, laughing so hard she nearly dropped her phone. The caption said, "New wheels, who dis?" And there it was, a brand new white Jeep parked outside. I sat there, my phone cold in my hand, my heart colder. I stared at that photo so long my eyes hurt. She wasn't broke. She wasn't struggling. She was partying, showing off while I was skipping meals to cover her rent. But the worst part? I wasn't even mad yet. I was just numb. Until the next morning. I went over to Mom's place. I was still clinging to some fragile hope that there was a misunderstanding. Maybe Kale won a raffle. Maybe a friend bought her the car. Maybe anything. But as I walked up the porch steps, I heard them. The kitchen window was cracked open, voices spilling out like something rotten. Mom, calm like she was reading from a grocery list. "Tell Selene your appendix burst. Medical bills are urgent. She'll pay." Kale laughed. She always does. Just throw in some tears. She eats that up. Mom chuckled softly. That's what big sisters are for. I stopped breathing. My whole life I thought I was helping them because we were a family. Turns out I was just a strategy. I stood there frozen, lasagna pan in hand because I'd still cooked dinner for them like some damn fool. The garlic and basil smelled like a punchline. I didn't knock. I didn't go in. I walked back to my car, lasagna still warm, hands shaking so bad I almost dropped it. I sat behind the wheel and stared at the dashboard while my heart broke in slow, quiet pieces. My phone buzzed on the seat beside me. Mom's text. "Where are you, sweetie? Dinner's ready. We need to talk to you about something important." I knew what that something was. I typed back, hands steady for the first time in hours. "Stuck at work? Emergency shift? Can't make it tonight." 3 dots blinked, then her reply, "Oh no, hope everything's okay. We'll save you some lasagna, but we'll need to chat soon. It's urgent." Urgent. Right. Urgent like my feelings never were. I didn't drive home. I just drove. Nowhere in particular. Past neon signs, empty gas stations, neighborhoods where no one knew my name. I was halfway across the city when my phone buzzed again. A voicemail from Kyle. I pulled over, listened. Her voice, casual, almost cheerful. "Hey, Cel, rent's covered. But could you wire me $2,000 by Friday? My credit card's maxed. Thanks, love ya." She didn't ask. She expected. I sat in the dark, the hum of the engine the only sound, and I realized something I couldn't ignore anymore. They would drain me dry and still call it love. And unless I stopped them, they never would. The next morning, before the sun came up, I opened my laptop and started making plans they'd never see coming. I barely slept that night. My mind wouldn't shut up. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Kale's voice laughing about how easy it was to get money out of me. I'd played the part of the dependable sister for so long, I didn't even know who I was without it. But by sunrise, one thing was clear. I was done being their safety net. I spent that morning canceling every single joint account, auto payment, and backup contact. Mom still had access to my old savings account from when I was in nursing school. I closed it without a second thought. Then I called my bank and flagged every transaction I didn't recognize from the last 6 months. Turns out Kale had linked my card to her Venmo. She'd been dipping into it for her gas, her Uber rides, even her Spotify subscription. It wasn't just the money, it was the entitlement. I changed every password, phone, email, banking apps, locked it all down tighter than Fort Knox. I didn't tell them. I wanted to see how long it would take before they noticed. It took exactly 4 hours. Kale called first. Voice bright, fake cheerful. Hey, Sel, weird thing. My rent payment didn't go through this morning. Can you check your account? I stared at my phone for a beat before answering. Calm, measured. Oh, I closed that account. Silence. What? Yeah, I thought it was time to get my finances in order. New accounts. Just me on them. Another pause. Her tone sharpened. Celine, that's not funny. My landlord's expecting the transfer today. Then maybe you should transfer it. She laughed, tight and forced. Come on, you know I'm between jobs. I didn't bite. Right, maybe sell your new Jeep. Dead quiet. Then, sharp like a slap. Were you spying on me? No, Kale. You posted it on Instagram. She exhaled hard. I could almost hear her pacing. Okay, fine. I'll pay you back. Just cover this month, okay? For Mom's sake. There it was. The guilt trip. Mom's fine. She told me herself yesterday. No heart condition, no emergency surgery. Just a lie to squeeze money out of me. Another long pause. Then Kale's voice dropped to a whisper. She told you that? Number I heard it. Through the kitchen window, I was bringing lasagna. The line went dead silent. I waited. Finally, she spoke, quieter now. Sel, we didn't mean for it to sound that way. You've always been the one who could fix things. And you thought that meant I didn't deserve honesty? She sighed, tired, almost human for a second. You're the strong one. You can take it. I laughed. Not out of humor, out of sheer disbelief. Funny. I didn't feel strong standing outside in the dark listening to you plan how to lie to me again. I hung up. 2 hours later, it was Mom's turn. She showed up at my apartment, banging on the door like the building was on fire. I opened it just enough to see her face. Tired, pale, but still playing the same role. Celine, we need to talk. Kale's in trouble. Kale's always in trouble. She made some mistakes. She's scared. We're scared. I crossed my arms, blocking the doorway. Maybe this is the part where she learns to clean up her own mess. Her face crumbled, but I didn't move. Please, she whispered. Family helps family. Not when family makes you the villain in your own life. I closed the door. But that night, as I sat alone in my apartment, I couldn't shake the feeling that something bigger was coming. And I was right. The next morning, I got a call from my bank. Someone had tried to open a line of credit in my name. The application listed my full social, my birthday, my old address. And the contact number? It was Kale's. I didn't even flinch when the bank called. I think some part of me had been waiting for it. The woman on the phone sounded apologetic, almost embarrassed to tell me what my family was doing. Like she expected me to be surprised. I wasn't. I hung up, stared at the ceiling for a long moment, and then I did something I never thought I'd do. I called my boss. Susan Richards is not the kind of woman you call with family drama. She's built like steel and coffee, and I admired the hell out of her. But when she picked up and heard the crack in my voice, she just said, "Come in. Now." Her office smelled like old books and resolve. I sat across from her desk, still gripping my phone like it might bite me again. "I think my family's committing financial fraud in my name," I said flatly, "and I'm pretty sure they've been doing it for a while." Susan didn't blink. She leaned back, steepled her fingers, and said the one thing I didn't expect. "You have proof?" I swallowed hard. I opened my laptop and pulled up the spreadsheet I'd been building since that night on the porch. Transfers, loan payments, Venmo screenshots, voicemails. Every time they asked. Every time I gave. Susan scrolled through the file, her face unreadable. Then she looked up. "Celine, this isn't just a bad family dynamic. This is a criminal pattern. If they've used your identity to apply for credit, that's felony-level fraud." Her words settled like stones in my stomach. "What do I do?" She didn't hesitate. "Get a lawyer, lock down your credit, and move your money. All of it." I nodded, throat tight. "And one more thing," she added, softer now. "You've earned the London post. I know you were hesitating, but maybe distance is exactly what you need." London. Half a world away. I told her I'd think about it. But inside, something was already shifting. That night, Cale called again. I almost didn't answer, but some sick curiosity made me pick up. "Celine," she said, voice bright like sunshine on broken glass. "Hey, you're gonna laugh, but I accidentally put your number on a loan application. Totally my bad. Can you just call the bank and tell them it's fine?" She said it like we were talking about borrowing a sweater. I felt my jaw tighten. "How much, Cale?" A pause. A small laugh. 50,000. But don't freak out. It's for a business idea. Mom's in on it. We're doing this as a family thing." I went silent. Long enough that she started filling the space with nervous chatter. "Sel, come on. You've got savings. You're not married, no kids. It's not like you're using it. Think of it as helping the family grow. Like, legacy, you know?" Legacy. What a joke. I spoke slowly so she wouldn't miss a word. "You tried to steal 50 grand from me." She got defensive fast. "Steal? It's not stealing if it's family. God, why are you being so dramatic?" I hung up without another word. The next morning, I sat with a lawyer, Carol Kim. Sharp, precise, no patience for nonsense. I laid it all out. The stolen info, the fake loan app, the years of manipulation. She flipped through my file, eyes scanning fast. "You want to press charges?" I hesitated. My stomach twisted. This was Cale, my sister, my mother's daughter. But then I thought about all the years I spent starving my joy so they could feast on my guilt. "Yes," I said, voice steady. "I want to stop this cycle, even if it means burning the whole bridge down." Carol nodded. "We'll start with the cease and desist. If they push back, we escalate." I walked out of that office feeling like my ribs had finally unlatched from my lungs. But life wasn't done twisting the knife. That night, as I was packing a suitcase for London, there was a knock at my door. I froze. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, I swear my heart stopped. It was Mom, but she wasn't alone. Standing next to her, arms crossed, was a man in a dark suit. "Celine," she said, her voice shaking. "This is Detective Ramirez. Cale's been arrested." And then she looked me dead in the eye and said the words I'll never forget. "This is your fault." I stood there in my doorway, holding my breath so hard my chest ached. Mom looked smaller than I remembered, but her words hit like a freight train. "This is your fault." Detective Ramirez didn't say a word. He just gave me that quiet, assessing look cops have when they're trying to figure out if you're the criminal or the collateral damage. I stepped aside without saying anything. Mom walked in first, stiff like she was holding herself together by threads. "She was arrested for fraud, Celine. They say she used your name, your credit. How could you let it get this far?" Her voice cracked like I was the one who'd broken something sacred. I kept my tone steady. "She got herself arrested, Mom. I just stopped covering for her. Mom spun around, hands shaking. She's your sister. Blood doesn't abandon blood. I felt something snap inside me. Funny. I was blood when you drained my savings, when you lied about medical bills, when you planned scams in your kitchen like I was a stranger who couldn't hear. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. For the first time in my life, she looked like she didn't have a script prepared. Detective Ramirez cleared his throat. Ms. Torres, Kale named you as her emergency contact. She's requesting you post bail. Of course she was. Mom turned to me, tears welling in her eyes like weaponized guilt. We can't afford bail. I had to sell my car for her lawyer's retainer. We're losing everything, Celine. Please. And there it was. The exact same plea. Different crisis, same tactic. I crossed my arms, feeling the weight of years settle across my shoulders. How much is bail? $25,000, Ramirez said flatly. Mom's voice broke. We can pay you back. I swear it. I almost laughed, but I didn't. Instead, I said, calm as the river before the flood. You told me last week you couldn't pay your electric bill. Where exactly would you find $25,000? She crumbled onto my couch, hands covering her face. She's all I have left, she whispered. That hit deeper than I thought it would. All she had left. Not both of us. Just Kale. I was never enough on my own. The room was so quiet I could hear the clock ticking in the kitchen. Then Ramirez spoke again, pulling a file from his coat. There's one more thing. We traced the initial loan applications. Turns out Kale wasn't acting alone. I froze. What do you mean? He laid the papers on my coffee table. Multiple applications, same handwriting on the forged forms, cross-referenced with your mother's financial statements. The evidence points to Helen Torres as a co-conspirator. I blinked, cold dread spreading through my veins. Excuse me? Mom shot to her feet, voice sharp with panic. That's a mistake. I was trying to help her. Ramirez's face didn't change. Help or not, you committed fraud. You applied for a business loan using your daughter's credit information. That's a felony offense. I felt my knees weaken, but I didn't sit. I just stared at her. My mother. The woman who told me to always do the right thing. The woman who raised me to clean up other people's messes. She looked so small now, but I saw her clearly for the first time. She wasn't just a bystander. She was part of it. All those times I thought she was being manipulated by Kale, she was holding the strings too. Ramirez spoke again, voice quiet but final. I'm required to inform you, Ms. Torres, that you are also under investigation. Mom crumpled back onto the couch, face pale, hands trembling. Celine, she whispered, voice raw. Please help us. Don't let it end like this. I looked at her for a long, painful moment, and then I said, steady and cold, it ended a long time ago. I just finally noticed. But before anyone could say another word, Ramirez's radio crackled, and what he said next shattered whatever was left of my world. Ma'am, we've just been informed. There's a third suspect in custody. Name listed as Frank Torres, father of Kale and Selena. Arrested this morning for wire fraud in Arizona. Frank. The father who walked out 15 years ago. The father they told me was gone for good. Turns out he wasn't gone at all. He was working the same con, just from a different state. And suddenly, everything I thought I knew about my family burned to the ground in a single breath. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the paperwork Detective Ramirez left behind. My father, Frank Torres. The man who walked out of my life when I was 19, leaving nothing but unpaid bills and empty promises. Turns out, he never really left. He just switched zip codes and found a new con to run. For 15 years, I'd carried his absence like a scar. Turns out, while I was breaking my back holding this family together, he was teaching Kale and Mom how to tear people apart. The next morning, Carol Kim, my lawyer, called. Celine, the DA's office wants to move forward. With your testimony, they'll pursue felony fraud charges against all three. My chest tightened. All three. Not just Kale. Not just Mom. But my father, too. I thought about walking away. About letting the system handle it without me. But then I remembered the night I stood on that porch with a lasagna dish in my hands and hope in my chest, and I knew I couldn't stay silent anymore. 2 weeks later, I sat in a cold courtroom under fluorescent lights while my family avoided my eyes. Kale looked small without her bravado. Mom looked older than I remembered. Frank looked exactly the same as the day he left. Calm, smug, like life's rules never applied to him. When the prosecutor read out the charges, my stomach twisted. Wire fraud, identity theft, conspiracy. The judge didn't waste time. The evidence was clear. Kale, sentenced to 14 months in county jail with restitution orders. Helen, 2 years probation, mandatory financial counseling, and public service. Frank, 3 years in federal prison. No parole. They didn't beg. They didn't cry. They just sat there as their lives crumbled in front of strangers. After court adjourned, I walked outside into the thin autumn sunlight. The wind felt sharp against my face, but for the first time in years, I could breathe. I thought maybe that would be the end of it. But a week later, I got one last call. Mom. Her voice was hoarse, brittle. I don't expect you to forgive me, Celine. But I wanted you to know, it started with Frank. He taught us how to lie. I didn't know how to stop. I didn't respond right away. I let the silence sit between us like an honest thing. Then I said quietly, you had a choice. You always had a choice. She sighed, soft and tired. Take care of yourself, baby. Click. That was the last time I heard her voice. 3 months later, I was standing in my new apartment in London. Smaller place, but the view of the Thames was mine. Quiet. Clean. I didn't have much. Just a secondhand couch, a chipped coffee mug, and peace. And honestly, that was enough. Some nights I still feel the ghost of who I used to be. The girl who thought love was earned through sacrifice, but now I know better. Love without respect is just debt. And I'm done being overdrawn. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Family can break your heart worse than strangers ever could. But you get to decide when the story ends, not them. And sometimes the real revenge isn't ruining their lives. It's building one of your own where they can't touch you. If you've been through something like this, if you've ever had to cut ties to save your sanity, drop a comment. I'd love to know I'm not the only one who's been there. And if you want to hear what happened the first time I cooked dinner for someone who actually respected me, well, maybe hit subscribe. But no pressure. Thanks for listening, really.